they try to push content. So you'll come up with a post and they'll push it on every single place, like every single channel, Facebook, Instagram, etc. And I'm not sure if you are, but some of the people who made leaps and bounds in content marketing, they would say, look, the best thing is to focus on one or two, probably one place, and get it right, rather than try to,
Easy metaphor. Sports. Sports.
Yeah.
You can't. And Michael Jordan,
for
whatever reason, gave a shot at baseball. Didn't work out too well. He's a basketballer. Right. He always will be a basketballer. So look, I'm not saying don't use multiple platforms, but you have to pick your platform of choice and get really good at it. Because I'll give you an example. The stuff that works and goes viral on LinkedIn, I could put the same thing on Instagram or Facebook and it gets 50 views.
Yep. It is Friday, 10:30, and I am joined by the man who needs no introduction, Mr. Edward Zia. Nice to see you.
Rani, I'm honored to be here, and I got to say, I love our fans from across the world. They're such sexy people.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure who will be tuning in, but since you're here, pretty sure there will be a ton of people.
But I know that they're sexy. Whoever's watching us is very sexy, beautiful, popular, and everyone loves them.
Yep. Well, thank you so much for coming in. You're one of the people that I wanted to, we've been connected for quite some time, but we never actually met face to face. And you're one of the people I definitely wanted to have on the podcast. And I think there's a ton of things that we'll unpack today. And starting obviously with LinkedIn marketing, because you're the king of LinkedIn marketing.
It's funny you say that. It's, I never set out there to be a king of LinkedIn marketing. It just became that because it just ended up becoming my weapon of choice, and it worked.
Yeah. So I'm kind of interested, like, how did it all start? Obviously, LinkedIn has been around for quite a long time. And I've been watching, what you're doing. I must say you are pushing out a lot of content. Like, you are literally killing it. You are on my newsfeed 5, 6, 7, 8 times a day.
That's the spirit. God bless LinkedIn and God bless Microsoft.
Yeah.
In fact, there he is right there.
Yep.
The God of LinkedIn looking over us.
I mean, we'll give credit also to those who founded it.
Yeah.
And he acquired it.
There you go.
Yeah. We're talking earlier before we started, because on the other side, there's all the other guys that I look up to. And you picked on one of the guys, Gary Vaynerchuk. And he obviously talks about content everywhere, right?
Yeah.
And one of the things that he said that resonated with me is that LinkedIn is one of the underestimated social media network platforms. And his whole thing is LinkedIn and TikTok versus, Facebook, Instagram, all the other channels or platforms are the two channels where you can get a lot of organic reach. And you're living proof of that, you were just saying earlier also before we started that sometimes you just put a post of like, a photo, a quick video of you on the train going somewhere, and then boom, you get thousands and tens of thousands of views. So I'm kind of interested, like, how did it all start, and at what point do you felt like you got the gist of, what your brand was like, and when did things kind of started to really work for you?
Oh, great question.
Must have been 10 years ago.
Yeah. Well, actually, I started getting into coaching about 10 years ago, but I used to actually be more of a marketing consultant.
Yeah.
So I was more of a digital agency. I was more of a marketing consultant / business coach. And for years, I was just using Facebook, did a lot of Facebook advertising. I was actually quite successful in that. And what happened was over time, Facebook just kept wearing out for me. It just wasn't working the way that it used to. And I wasn't happy either. And I wasn't being rewarded for all the hard work that I was doing, And one of my really good friends, Rana, big shout out to Rana Kordahi, amazing lady.
Shout out to Rana.
Shout out to Rana. Rana, I love you. She actually, I'm friends with her on LinkedIn and Facebook. And she said to me, Ed, what are you doing on Facebook? You need to get over here on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Right? And this is start 2019. And I'm like, okay.
That was,
Okay.
sorry, start of
2019.
2019? Okay.
Yeah, so
Wow. Okay. So not a long time ago.
So I actually haven't been, and that's
Wow.
a testament to LinkedIn and what I'm doing is I achieved more on LinkedIn in 6 months than I did in 10 years on Facebook.
Holy cow.
And that's not an exaggeration. I could demonstrate the numbers.
To get this right,
Yeah.
and for everyone who's listening, you at the moment, and this is not to brag or anything, but you have over 63,000 followers on LinkedIn. Is that right?
Yeah. So,
but you started in 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So
less than that.
In less than 2 years,
less than that.
You've grown quite tremendously.
Yeah, so from memory, so at the start of 2019, I had roughly 12,000 connections.
Okay.
And that's meaningless. That was just people you just picked up over the years. Right. So nothing too out of the ordinary there.
Yeah.
And I had no business page, just that.
Right.
Then I went in the whole influencer direction, huge shake up, and big shout out to my wonderful wife, Lassie, as well. Did the same thing. We decided to do a huge shake out and change of direction.
Yeah.
Right, change of direction. We said, because I kind of picked LinkedIn's a place for me. I'm going to walk away from Facebook. I'm going to walk away from a lot of the old marketing I was doing.
Yep.
And I want to go in the LinkedIn direction. It just decide, again, I'm a big fan of Bill Gates as well. Yep. So the whole Microsoft thing, I thought this feels right to me. And Rani, Rana, you're Rani. It's going to be hard. Rani and Rani. You're Rana. She is Rani.
Yep.
Rani persuaded me to try it. And it was like within a week, I was, I went from skeptic to zealot, so to speak, right?
Yep.
And what was fascinating was that it didn't actually take long to really take off. And what I realized a lot of things is that, and it depends on, and I'm not here to attack Facebook.
Sure.
It really depends on which platform is for you.
Yep.
Right. So I suppose when you spoke about Gary Vee at the start, my pushback for that one, and I say this to everyone, is just because TikTok works for someone over here doesn't mean it'll work for you.
Yep.
Right? Like TikTok is not for me, right?
Yeah.
And no disrespect to TikTok. I've got friends who got millions of followers on it. But the point I'm making is that you got to pick the right platform for you and your business and what you're trying to do. Yeah, you got to be objective about it. And again, LinkedIn's not for everyone. I'm not here to sell Microsoft or LinkedIn. For people watching, LinkedIn's not for everyone.
Yep. There are people who, and I'm not saying this is in any way wrong, because I think a lot of times there is no wrong and right. There's, like what you said, what works for you. But I noticed that a lot of people, when they start with the content marketing, they try to push content. So you'll come up with a post and they'll push it on every single place, like every single channel, Facebook, Instagram, etc. And I'm not sure if you are, but some of the people who made leaps and bounds in content marketing, they would say, look, the best thing is to focus on one or two, probably one place, and get it right, rather than try to,
Easy metaphor. Sports.
Yeah.
Sports. You can't. And Michael Jordan, for whatever reason, gave a shot at baseball. Didn't work out too well. He's a basketballer.
Yeah.
Right? He always will be a basketball. So look, I'm not saying don't use multiple platforms, but you have to pick your platform of choice and get really good at it. Because I'll give you an example. The stuff that works and goes viral on LinkedIn, I could put the same thing on Instagram or Facebook and it gets 50 views.
Yep.
So something that can get 20,000 views on LinkedIn might even get 40 views on Facebook. Because every platform's quite different.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
So we call it build for platform. So whenever I create a bit of content, I'm thinking about the LinkedIn ecosystem.
Yep. You mentioned Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
Are you a big fan?
Oh yeah. I've always been I'm a man of the 90s, as you can tell by my my cut army shorts that are puffy and my tight top. But yeah, I'm a man of the 90s. So a lot of people have picked, here's your fashion from the 90s. You got it. So I'm completely stuck in the 90s. And a huge Michael Jordan fan. And Michael Jordan's a testament to, picking one thing and nailing it.
Yep. Have you watched the documentary, The Last Dance?
No, but I've seen, I haven't seen that, but I love Michael Jordan in that Bugs Bunny film.
Yep. You will love The Last Dance, the documentary on Netflix, because it basically takes you through, all the behind the scenes and all the stories that were not told about, what actually made him the person he is. And one of the things is being extremely competitive. Like, everyone knows that, but the documentary kind of like really sheds light on that. And I think the spirit of competitiveness is really important in anything, like when it comes to business. And
Hell yeah.
yeah,
Absolutely.
and I was thinking, when it comes to you, did you find, I'm not sure, I don't know too much about you on a personal level, but did you find that competitiveness was a driving force, or what were the things that were really driving you in your journey?
Well, several reactions there. Like, firstly, with going back to Michael
Yeah,
Jordan, Michael Jordan is very competitive and he's brilliant, but he's also very charming and persuasive.
true.
So I just want to make that point clear with Michael Jordan.
Yeah,
Michael Jordan has the skill, but he has that charm.
right.
I guarantee you, let's say Michael Jordan was never a basketballer. I could imagine him becoming a famous actor or radio host or influencer.
Yep,
So I think the one distinction I'll make with Michael Jordan, it's not just skill
yep.
that made him successful. He was able to sell. He's very charming.
The charisma.
Yeah, and he's very good. So
Yep.
because he never got up and said, "I'm like the best and you all suck." He would never say that. He'll be, "Thank you. I'm really grateful."
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
And there's even that funny meme of Michael Jordan going around. I don't know if you remember, but a bit of trivia. During the 90s, he did all his anti-drug ads.
Yep.
And it's that funny meme of him in a suit. And he goes, "Stop it. Get some help." If you remember that, right?
No, I don't, but yeah, I can kind of.
But just one distinction there.
Yeah.
Michael Jordan is a master persuader. He's
Yep.
charming. He's funny.
Yep.
Right. And that combined with basketball skill took him to the
Yep.
top. The fact that, I'm sure he's been out of basketball for 20 years and everyone's still talking about it.
Yeah.
And the second point, Rani, where I love where you're going, is that what I also love about Michael Jordan, and then flowing on to now, is you got to be competitive. Yeah, because I was frustrated because all these people are winning and I'm not. I've been working like a dog and I'm not getting there.
Yep.
So I felt that frustration.
Yep.
But it wasn't so much competition directed at a person. It wasn't like, you got this and I don't, you suck. It wasn't that sort of competition.
Yep.
It was more that internal, I'm not achieving what I want in my life. And I was quite frustrated. So and again, shout out to Rani. Correction, Rana.
Ran.
You're Rani. This is gonna mess with my head.
Rani.
Rana.
Yeah.
Right. Big shout out to her is that I was already frustrated when she contacted me. I was already, this isn't working out.
Yep.
And she just gave me that right bit of information.
Yep.
And that set my direction. And again, just tore it up. It's been amazing.
Yeah, I mean, you touched on something that is quite powerful. A lot of people, a lot of times, including myself, you will reach a point where you feel like you've been working too hard. You've been putting in the hours.
Yes.
And they say to master anything, you need to put in the 10,000 hours, right?
Sure.
But sometimes you can put more than that and not get there and not feel like you've made the breakthrough. And I think this is where it comes down to being open to trying new things and listening to other people that may have an idea that can get you there. And that's what happened with you when you spoke to Ron, I think.
Yeah. It's like the whole Ray Kroc McDonald's guy, right? Have you seen the film The Founder with Michael Keaton?
I feel like you're going to ask me about, have you seen blah, blah, blah quite a bit today? Yeah. And I'll be like, no. No, but no, I haven't.
Yeah. The Founder illustrates it well. So The Founder is the story of Ray Kroc from McDonald's.
Right.
And it doesn't paint Ray Kroc as a hero by any means. I thought it's very objective. It's played by Michael Keaton, who absolutely nailed the role. Doesn't look like Ray Kroc, but he nailed the energy of Ray Kroc beautifully, right? Which is ultimately what a good actor does. And what was fascinating about it is Ray Kroc for years was basically a milkshake equipment salesman, a blender salesman. And he was doing okay, but he was just doing okay. But it was all those average experiences that put him into that position of, getting into McDonald's.
Yeah.
So I guess what I'm saying is that go back to using Michael Jordan, right? We have to stick Michael Jordan up there after this, right?
Absolutely. I'll just take all five of them and put Michael Jordan there.
Yeah, let's get Mark Zuckerberg and just stick Michael Jordan over it. How about that one, huh?
Yeah, just like print it on a A4 and just cut it out, just stick it there.
Not a fan of his censorship. Anyway,
but we should talk about that too.
It's a big problem.
And Twitter. Because I've been kind of watching that over the last few days.
The censorship's a point. We'll come back to that. But I was going to say is, I love where you're going, by the way. It's just so very important that you stick to what you're doing. You stay really focused. And I think Michael Jordan encapsulates it in terms of the whole mastery thing. And I actually learned this at a Tony Robbins seminar. Right. And this bit hit me between the eyes is that Michael Jordan would just sit there for hours, just at the 1 pointer line. And just for the people around the world, 1 pointer is basically right 2 meters in front of the hoop. He'll just sit there going, bounce, bounce. And he'd just do that for hours and hours.
Wow.
Now, to the moron would walk along and say, and people actually did say this to him, by the way. Michael Jordan actually complained about this. People would actually criticize him for not being more creative and not doing this. But basically, because he just did that same thing over and over again, you could basically get them drunk and whack them on the head, and you could get a 1-pointer.
Yep.
And it's funny actually with the whole content thing is I actually now post from my subconscious mind. And what I mean by that is that when I started posting on LinkedIn, it was very mechanical. Yep. Now it's sort of like, give me the phone, boom.
Right.
So what it is, it's that I'm reaching that point of unconscious competence where I can just naturally post without thinking about it.
Yep.
And that's when I feel like a real influencer. But that only comes from me grinding out hundreds of posts.
Yep.
You can't develop that mastery without doing all the grinding away.
100%. And quickly, since you mentioned like posting and whatnot, do you have a specific strategy when it comes to how frequent, what times? Some people come up with a bunch of content and they schedule it over a period, like maybe a week, and there's like tools out there. And I personally, I'm not a fan of that. And the reason I'm not, and I'd love to get your take on it.
No one's a fan of that.
Yeah, is because sometimes you're out of a meeting, or you're just even walking or doing something, and that idea will pop in your head, and you'll get like one of those mini inspirations. And this is the time right then and there to talk about it.
Yeah, I'll give you a funny example. The biggest post I've ever done on LinkedIn got just under 500,000 views.
Yep.
And it was actually about our Prime Minister, Scott Morrison.
Yep.
So during lockdown, Scott Morrison's our Australian Prime Minister for our friends around the world. Great guy. I've known him personally through the party, right?
Yeah.
And, connected to him on LinkedIn. And everyone was just attacking Scott Morrison in the media. And I was kind of annoyed, right?
What time was that? Like how long?
About 5 months ago.
Okay.
5, 6 months ago, during lockdown.
Yep.
Everyone's attacking him. I'm like, no, this is dumb. Scott Morrison's a great guy. And I just did this post straight from the subconscious, did a photo of Scott Morrison, told everyone, stop attacking him. He's awesome. It got almost 500,000 views.
Wow.
And it was just me reacting to a moment. And if I was following a schedule, never would have happened.
That would have worked.
Yeah. So, and I'll tell you now, I work with a lot of top influencers from Instagram and YouTube, as well as LinkedIn. So I got influencers from all top
across
platforms.
the board.
Yep. So I'm not just a LinkedIn zealot. I speak to everyone, right?
Well, you are a marketing mentor.
Yes.
I forgot to mention that in the start, and an international master coach. So what you do for a living and on a daily basis is teach and coach people to become better influencers in general. Is that correct?
Yeah. And as I was saying, LinkedIn's not for everyone. Yeah. Right? I'm the first to say that. As much as I love LinkedIn and Microsoft, I'm not here to carry water for them. I'm here to tell the truth.
Yep.
And having said that, they're awesome, but it's not for everyone.
Yep.
And the truth of the matter is that if you speak to top influencers who've got millions of followers, they're all about creating organic content in the spur of the moment.
Right.
It's people who really don't know better, who are talking about, they do these spreadsheets, they do all this scheduling. Mm-hmm. That's not how the pros do it. That's how the pros do it.
No offense to all the scheduling tools out there, all the cool startups doing cool things.
Well, the problem with scheduling tools is you don't get the organic views.
Yeah.
If you post direct into a platform, you'll get 10 times the views than you will of a scheduling tool.
Yeah. Yep.
And that's and the platforms have said it, like Microsoft and Facebook have said, we prefer native posting.
Yeah.
No, just for the sake of the audience, native posting means you don't use a third-party platform. You post straight into the platform. That's what they prefer, and they're quite open about it. And they algorithmically penalize you or reward you for following that behavior or not.
Right. Absolutely. Interesting. And so organic and like on the go type of posting is definitely what I personally encourage too. Just because of what I was saying earlier is like sometimes
just on that point though, having said that, I'm all for planned and structured content, and I do a lot of webinars and that type of thing. I'm not dissing structured content, but you need that flexibility for the creativity and the structure.
Correct.
You just can't be a slave to your Excel spreadsheet.
Correct. Well, like you said, you need to have a structure. So that means what type of content I want to talk about, what my audience would like to, what would give value to my audience, an idea of what I want to talk about this week, this month, but not having to, sit one day. I'll admit it. I used to do that at some point. Where
Me too.
Yeah. Where I would, allocate, because I thought that was going to be super productive, right? To sit one day, allocate 2, 3, 4 hours, come up with all these things, all these ideas and topics, and try to schedule them as much as possible. But what I realized out later on is I get all these amazing inspirational ideas throughout my day, and I don't have time for them, and I never post them. So I was like, that's not right.
Yeah.
I need to, like you said, have room within my day, within my week, to be able to act on all these, things that come.
And I used to be a business coach before. I used to be more of a business coach and marketing consultant before I went in the whole influencer direction.
Yeah.
So I can put on my old business coach hat here, and I'll speak to the productivity driven people out there, which is me. And and a lot of people are persuaded this way. I've had great people come to me, not their fault, they've been given bad advice, so not their fault. And I just red pill them. They come to me and they're like, Ed, I just don't have time to do content. Ed scratches his head. What do you mean? Oh, well, I don't have time to spend 3 hours doing a video every day. Yeah. I'm like, who told you to spend 3 hours doing a video every day? And then, I can see where not. As you start, dismantling their worldview and unpacking it, kind of figure out what happened.
Yeah.
And it's just insane. And I've got a lot of business coaches as clients, and I love business coaches, and I always persuade them the productivity argument. Yeah. And I said, what if you could do a video in 5 minutes that gets more views than a video that takes 3 hours? What do you think of that? Mm. And they're instantly persuaded. Yeah. Right? You're on their side.
You're like, show me.
Well, the thing is, I just open my phone.
Exactly.
And go, right. I did this like an hour ago. Right. So there's the persuasion, right? Done. Yeah. But the point I'm making is that the moment you bring up, because no one talks about productivity when it comes to content. No one does. Yeah. I will, but no one else will.
I do. I think it's super important.
Good. Yeah. No one does. Well, not many people do.
Yeah.
You go to about productivity. It's like, okay, I've spent 3 hours creating a post that gets 500 views. 3 hours, great. Well, what if you spend 10 minutes creating a post that gets 2,000 views? I'm in the 10-minute club.
Yep. And I think there's two angles to it. The first is what you touched on. The second one is you get to become more productive as you keep going and pushing out. So what took you 10 minutes to produce, a year ago, it's probably going to take you 5 minutes today. And then add to that, if you keep growing and then you have content marketing team behind you, like think about, I know you're not the biggest fan, but someone like Gary V.
Yeah, just on that point is, it's just a flavor of ice cream. I have a lot of respect for Gary V.
I know you do.
And I respect all his followers. What I mean is not a fan is it's not a fan for me.
Sure.
That, just to be clear on that. I have a lot of respect for him professionally.
Yeah. Absolutely. And thanks for clarifying, because that's very important. Yeah. The man does great work, which I know
I think Gary V's got a good heart. I think he works very hard and he supports people. I actually really like Gary V. Yeah. But the point I'm making is that he's not the right source of influence for me and what I'm trying to do.
Absolutely.
Let's make that clear.
Yeah. I think all I was going with this is that he reached a point where he has an army, Spartans of content marketers behind him. So content marketing became extremely easy after he reached that point. And I think if you apply that to going to a point where it's a year or 2 years after you started, that productivity, or not productivity, the value or the amount of content that you can get out on your time is constantly improving and increasing.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm all for that.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Cool. Let's talk a little bit about Facebook and Twitter, because I think we mentioned that in 10 minutes ago.
Big problem.
Crazy.
Big legal problems.
How crazy is that?
Oh yeah, they're in. Please, you go. I got a lot to say on this topic.
I feel like you got a lot
to say on this topic. Please, I'll shut up.
So I think the one thing that happened over the last couple of weeks, I'm a big fan of Joe Rogan. I'm not sure if you are. But
to be honest, I'm a huge fan of him. I don't watch his stuff, but it's kind of like I respect him, but I'm not into his stuff.
Yeah.
But full, thumbs up to Joe Rogan.
Oh, he doesn't care. He gets attacked all the time, but he doesn't care. I like that about him.
Yeah. That's good. Refreshing.
So yeah, I'm a big fan because I'm also.
I'm personally not into Joe Rogan's content, but I love his genuine authenticity.
He's super authentic.
He's just telling the truth.
Yeah.
And power to the guy. Not for me, but power to the guy.
He's searching for the truth. Like you can see when he talks to people, he's really trying, without offending anyone. He's trying to find, because he's when you talk about controversial topics, he's one of the people that just come up right away. Like he's always talking about something controversial, and he's always trying to find these things. So
and he's not a grifter.
Yeah,
that's what I love about him. He's not grifting.
Yeah,
he's genuinely searching for the truth,
Yeah.
And and quite often the truth exists in the taboo.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And the establishment doesn't want you finding the truth because they lose power. So, no, power to Joe Rogan, great guy. I'm glad that he's famous.
Glad you touched on that, because for the longest time ever, I used to wonder why and how he's still around, because he digs deep.
I can answer that one right away.
Yeah, tell me,
Right.
please.
Answer that one right away. So Joe Rogan is very persuasive and charming, and he's got some friends in high places.
Okay, so it's definitely some connections there.
Oh, yeah. This guy's got people protecting him.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting, because you wouldn't be able to, dig in all these places if you haven't, if you were not backed up.
Is what happens to as an influencer. This is what I'm doing as well. Is I'm backed up by high people in big places now.
Yeah.
Right. So the way it works as an influencer, it's a bit like the mafia in a way, I guess. And I used to work in drug enforcement, so I could talk about this topic well. It's sort of like you might be one person, but if you've got a few big people behind you, you can get away with a lot more than you can get away with.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you now, Joe, I don't know the detail, but Joe would have probably a lot of conservatives, actually. He's very well... the far left hate him.
Yep.
Obviously, he's the one attacking him.
Yep.
But he'd have a lot of right-wingers right behind him.
Yep.
Spotify's a smart company. Right? Very smart to pick him up.
Yep.
And in defense of Spotify, there's been a lot of calls for Spotify to censor him.
Yep.
And again, I'm no expert on Spotify. I love Spotify, by the way. Premium subscriber.
Yep. But
Spotify just folded their arms and said, no, we're not censoring him. Get stuffed.
I mean, it's
to you, Spotify.
Yeah.
Respect.
Yeah. I don't want to play the devil's advocate, but I would probably also say, besides that they just did a deal with him. So the last thing you want to do when you're bringing in that that new star to the platform, the last thing you want to do is censor him. Right?
But they would have known this would have happened. So Spotify's smart, bunch of smart people.
Yeah.
They would have known. They're just playing out a script. They knew this was going to happen. They're just playing out a chess game.
Yeah. Yeah.
They knew the moment we put on this guy, we're going to have all these people calling for his deplatforming. But these are our 5. So they're 5 moves in advance.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Of course, they have this move planned out. So they're just playing a chess. So the people trying to censor him are playing checkers. They're playing 4D chess.
Right.
They know what they're doing. Because I can tell they're manipulating the media. They're being very cool.
Yep. Interesting. So going back to censorship.
Yeah.
So the first time I started to really tune in was when Joe had Twitter founder.
So Jack Dorsey.
Jack Dorsey.
Yep.
And forget her name.
Tim Paul.
But
Tim Paul, Jack Dorsey.
Yeah, the Tim Paul.
I love Tim Paul.
Episode. Yep.
Huge Tim Paul
and
fan.
Who the person who looks after the PR in
He was a lawyer, wasn't it?
A lawyer.
Wasn't it? I didn't watch it, but wasn't it Jack Dorsey, Twitter CEO, Jack's lawyer, and Tim Paul and Joe Rogan?
Well, she's not just a lawyer. She is one of the executives in Twitter.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. I didn't watch it, so yeah.
I forget what the title was.
Yep.
But I think it was in PR. And she's also one of the main people who look after what kind of tweets they should, censor, and who gets banned. Obviously, there's a lot of algorithms, but she looks after the policy.
Yeah.
Along with obviously a lot of other Twitter employees. So there's a bit of tech involved, and I don't want to be attacking, because I don't think I am in any shape or form. But I do think I'll preface what I'm about to say with this. I think tech companies have grown too big to a point where handling problems like that are very complicated, right? And there can be, you can definitely argue that at some times people might look at what's happening and think there are definitely hands behind it, or it's intentional. But I also think that it's bigger than they can handle. Anyway, so...
And they're in a lot of trouble too. I mean, Trump's on the precipice of winning the next election.
Yeah.
Those tech companies once Trump gets in, that's why they're so nervous. Once Trump gets in, they're in deep trouble. They already are.
Yeah.
Because here's the big problem that you've got. You've got billionaires deciding what information we see. I got a problem with that.
I mean, I was thinking about it yesterday.
You got the wrong people making these decisions, and it's clearly biased, absolutely biased in the direction of the left wing. Absolutely.
Yep.
Not many lefties get suspended. It's all the conservatives that are getting deplatformed on those platforms.
And that's what
they're not going to last playing this game.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, think about it this way.
They're going to win this one.
I was
Censorship
thinking about
people.
this yesterday, which is, you know, I'm putting myself in the position of one of the, these companies, like the founders. And I don't think when they first started, like Jack, when he was thinking about starting Twitter, they never, ever, ever thought that they would get to that point and they would have to deal with these kind of problems.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, it's still a private, and I'm not saying this grants them.
It's actually not private though.
It's not.
No.
Well, publicly traded.
No, because they get tax breaks. They're embedded with governments. They're not private.
Okay.
That's the point.
That's a misconception.
Yeah, so they're not private.
Okay.
The moment you start getting tax breaks, you're not private anymore. You're now sponsored by the government.
Right. Interesting.
So that's the point. So the pro censorship people, well, they're not they're now getting censored by their own rules. So we'll come back to that one, right? The pro censorship people, they say, oh, but Twitter's a private company. No, they're not. They've got tax breaks. They're supported by corporate. Supported by the government. They're not private organizations. They're hybrid organizations now with government intervention.
Yep.
So they're not private. That argument doesn't stack up.
Right. Well, what they're trying to say now is, and I think Joe Rogan mentioned that, is they're looking at how they can amend the Second Amendment to include all these companies.
Well, I'm no expert on it, but they always talk about the Section 230. I think of again, I'm not an American constitutional expert, but just through the chatter I see, my understanding is called Section 230, which is an American, I could be wrong here. A lot of people are going to go, Ed, you got this wrong. Please, I apologize if you're a lawyer. Please leave in the comments the correction. I'm sorry.
Don't grill us, guys.
Yeah, I'm gonna get in deep trouble now. But my understanding is it's called Section 230.
Okay.
And basically what it says is social media companies are immune from prosecution because they're not publishers. They're neutral free speech platforms. So basically the deal the American government has in the law is that you're not responsible for what goes on your platform as long as you keep it neutral.
Right.
And where they've gone wrong is they've clearly and blatantly gone bias. And what are a lot of people saying? Well, that voids your protection then. Because if you're biasing one point of view over another, you're no longer a free speech platform. You're now a publisher, which means you're now legally liable for everything on your platform.
Correct. And
they're now enforcing that. So Ted Cruz and Trump in America they've been talking about that for a few months. I'll tell you what, once they win office, Twitter, that's why Twitter and Facebook have backed off.
Yeah.
So they know Trump's going to win. He already is in the early voting.
How confident you are about him winning?
Oh, he's going to win. The question is by how much and will he get the control?
He's still behind in the polls.
Oh, no, I'm not using polls. He's actually ahead in early voting.
Okay.
So early voting started recently. No, polls. Well, the polls put Hillary Clinton a 98% chance of winning.
True, but he just won by a very tiny.
No, he had an electoral college landslide. That's not right. No.
I think
he lost the popular vote in 2016, but he had an electoral college landslide.
Okay. I'm not going to dig into this because I don't know too much.
All I remember is... I'll explain just for the sake of the audience too. What I mean by that is that America and Australia, for that matter, is not a direct democracy. It's not one vote. It's not one person, one vote.
Electoral.
Yeah, it's electoral. Yeah. And it's weighted. The reason why I have an electoral college, or in Australia, for example, you have electorates, same system, right? Similar system. Let me use Australia as an example. So forget America for the moment. So our biggest cities are Sydney and Melbourne.
Right.
If we didn't have seats, it would just be Sydney ruling the whole of the country. Not fair. Absolutely no. It wouldn't work. The system wouldn't work. If we just had Sydney ruling the whole nation as some kind of imperial dominion, the whole place would collapse. People would be fighting for secession. So the point of an electorate system is to people of lower population densities to give them more representative power to make the system work.
Yep. And back to Donald Trump, he won a few states that gave him the edge in terms of how many seats that they represent.
Exactly.
Right?
So he lost the popular vote.
Yep.
Which is kind of relevant. So it doesn't actually mean anything. It's more of an ego indicator. But he won the actual. He had a electoral. I think for America, you classify as a landslide. It was an electoral seat landslide.
Correct. And what I was getting at is the few states that he won that gave him the edge. he didn't win by a major difference.
Absolutely.
That's kind of what I was. But anyway, so
I think Hillary. Oh, by the way, I used to like the Clintons as a man in the '90s,
yeah.
right? I'm not into what they're doing now after I've seen all the shocky stuff Bill's been up to.
Some crazy stuff going on. Yeah,
nothing to do with that. But
yeah,
you know, but the thing is that I'm not some kind of crazy Trump's Jesus. I like Trump, but what I mean is that I also like the Clintons, right? I had a lot of respect. I had a lot of respect for Hillary Clinton.
Yeah,
she didn't go to She did not even go to Wisconsin.
Yeah, I think regardless of who wins, the censorship is going to be a major thing that will have to be addressed
once Trump's in. Yeah, Facebook. Because Facebook and Twitter have backed off on the censorship. So they know Trump's going to win, and they know once he gets in, like for second term, he's coming after. He already said that they're in deep trouble, which is why they're backing off.
Yep. Just to have fun for a couple of minutes, what do you think will happen if he doesn't win?
Look, I think let's say he does, and it's possible. I could be wrong. Let's say he doesn't win. I think you're going to have some kind of rebellion occur.
Because I thought it would be the opposite. So if he wins, all the all the groups that emerged over the last few years, few months, including probably just keep the names out, but a few rebellious groups came out over the last few years, mainly on the left side.
Yeah.
So I would think that.
So the far left paramilitary groups.
Yeah.
Are a huge, and the police are currently getting ready for that as well.
Yeah.
So they're getting ready. So a lot of based on the police department's behavior, they're preparing for massive riots. They expect a Trump victory, and they know there's going to be some kind of paramilitary left retaliation. Right, there already is. I mean, there's ongoing riots and that now, which is tragic, And it's interesting actually because I'm all for peaceful protest, completely against violence of any kind.
Yep.
If a right winger causes violence, I'm the first to call them out. Yep. Just no violence. Here's the thing that they don't understand: when you commit atrocities, you drive support away from you.
Of course.
And I'll tell you now, even some people have said the far left paramilitary groups, Trump created them. As a more conspiracy, I don't think he did, but the more conspiracy theorists because they're supporting him.
Yep.
It's funny. Noam Chomsky, right, is I don't know if you know, but he's a well-known communist, right? Like full on, as in
from where?
America. I think he's American. Actually, I'm obviously not a communist, but I kind of like the guy. Like I don't agree with some of his weirdo Marxist ideas, but I like the guy.
But I'd have a beer with him.
I would. We'd have vodka under the glorious union. Anyway. What's funny about Noam Chomsky though? He says he's a full-on communist, right? He's against violence because he says every time someone throws a brick through the window, you're pushing people away from your side.
Yeah.
And going back to the censorship of it, I think the censorship's having that similar effect.
Of course.
As I'll use the example, the Hunter Biden scandals. Like at the time we're doing this interview, you've had all those emails come out with creepy deals of China and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
It's really bad. And the media try to squash it, but you have what's called the Streisand effect.
Yep.
The more you try and suppress something, is the more popular make it. Like the fact they try to censor Joe Rogan's made it more popular.
Yeah, we wouldn't be talking about it right now if they haven't tried to censor it.
Yeah, so the censorship is sort of like what is it? You squash a bee and the whole hive attacks you.
Exactly, and I think a lot of people don't get that. Like when you try to resist, what you resist persists, right? Yeah. I think what really pushed it for me was when the story about Hunter Biden came out, and New York Times published it, and that story, Twitter, basically banned that story from being shared.
Big mistake.
And
they're going to
Trump's spokeswoman got her account blocked, stopped. And I heard Jack was saying, I think it was an interview, or he was speaking to someone from like the government. I saw an interview the other day. And basically, they asked him about it, and he said, "Oh well, all she has to do is delete the tweet, and then the account will be open again, and then she can tweet it again." Like, why? Why can't you guys just, Well,
the answer's obvious, right? What they're trying to do is they're trying to meddle in the election.
Yeah.
But and I say this too. Look, whether you're a right winger or a lefty. Whenever you're against free speech, you're kind of on the losing side of history.
Of course.
You just, And I say it to anyone as well. Like, I'll give you an example. I'll take my own camp for the moment. I campaigned in pro-marriage equality. So a bit of context for the audience. A few years ago, it was basically the gay marriage vote. You know, should we legalize same-sex marriage? I came out in support of it. I had people from my own camp attacking me, but they never tried to censor me. And I think it's a real trait of the left. It's a real lefty thing. It's about, because they have terms such as wrongthink, for example, right? So in the right of politics, people attack me, but no one's trying to silence me, right? But in the left, you have what's called wrongthink, where you're not allowed to think certain things.
You're not even allowed to talk about it or bring it up. Or,
so the way it works in the left, quite often, especially the far left, if you think about something, you've committed the crime. So the right tends to be more behavior driven. You'll get judged on your behavior. If you even think the wrong thing or ask the wrong question on the left, you can get in a lot of trouble. That's called wrongthink. And that's straight from communism.
What do you think of the cancel culture?
Oh, obviously I stand against it. It's like all things as well. I stand against it for a lot of moral and philosophical reasons. What's interesting now is the cancel culture created by the left is now cancelling lefties. So their own weapons turned against them. And it's interesting. A lot of people, including me, were saying at the start, please don't go down the cancel. You're going to end up losing by your own weapon. Because now what's happened is now the right wing has weaponized cancel culture and they're using it on the left. So what happens is, if let's say a lefty does some things, a bunch of right wingers now will go through their Twitter profile for years, find dirt on them, and get them cancelled. So their own weapons are being used against them.
When you look at the cancel culture, it's you can see how it started. Like it started from obviously us living in a day and age where information can be easily shared and accessed and whatnot, and people are obviously becoming more outspoken and they share their opinions and things like that, and then it starts to turn into attacking people about things that they may or may have not done. And then you go to the next level where, okay, we're all going to cancel that person for something that we're not 100% sure. And even if, I mean, like, everyone makes a mistake, right? And that's the thing. No one, like, I think the cancel culture doesn't understand that you as an individual have done a lot of mistakes in your life.
No, but cancel culture isn't about right or wrong. It's about power. So cancel culture was originally a weapon created by the left to silence their enemies. It comes from communism.
So do you think it was like created or it just evolved? Because I feel like it just evolved.
Cancel culture has been around forever. Been around for years, right? Burning the books is a form of cancel culture. I won't say the NA word, but for example, in World War II, right? Cancel culture was rife. Hitler was completely involved in cancel culture. Burning the books, he'd imprisoned journalists that spoke out against him.
Right.
That's cancel culture, right? So cancel culture's been around forever, right? It's just cancel culture is often a weapon deployed to censor someone's enemies. And when they started deploying the weapon in an online sense, I was a lot of people saying, look, you're going to lose this one. Now what's happened is you got a lot of lefties who are now speaking back against cancel culture, including J.K. Rowling. Is it J.K. Rowling, Harry Potter creator? J.K. Rowling?
I think so.
Yeah, I think it's J.K. Rowling. So we call it Mrs. Rowling.
Yep.
Now, I'm not a Harry Potter buyer. Now, she's a massive feminist.
Yep.
And she's a lefty. And I think she's great. Bright power to her, right?
Yep.
People have been trying to cancel her, right? She was one of the champions of cancel culture, and now this weapon's being used against her.
Them.
Yeah. And now you got a lot of lefties who are like, yeah, we created this weapon and it's being used against us. Can we end it now? We knew this would happen. And that's the thing, because free speech, the best way of challenging a bad idea is with good ideas. The moment you squash someone, you make them exotic. And it kind of makes you think, well, hang on. If you're trying, we use the Hunter Biden emails. Let's say they're all fake. I just come out, you can read all the emails you want. They're all just a fabricated story. The moment you try and censor them, they must be true.
Exactly.
So what they should have done is say, they're just a bunch of lies. Now they're all fabricated. Read whatever you want. It's all no. We're going to censor it. That means it's true, doesn't it?
Biden needed to have you in his campaign, mate. Biden should have had you in his campaign.
No, it's okay.
Advise him.
Nothing to do with those guys. Nothing to do with those guys.
You know what I like about LinkedIn and also TikTok is, as a social platform, it's primarily very positive. Like there's a lot of
Great place.
positivity in that platform, in that marketplace. Um, you don't see much negativity in LinkedIn and TikTok.
Love it.
And I think this is where, and a lot of people say, oh, you know, no one stays on the top forever. And eventually one of these big guys, one of these big platforms will fall, maybe more than one. And I think Twitter and Facebook, if one of them, or if someone were to fall, I think it would be Twitter and Facebook, just because there's a lot of negativity.
I think Twitter's on the edge, actually.
Yeah.
I think Facebook will be around for a long time.
Longer, of course.
Yeah, I think Twitter, they're they're in a lot of trouble.
It's too crazy.
Well, not too crazy, but Twitter has this weird love relationship for Donald Trump. They hate him, but why not delete his account? Because they say, a lot of people have said, I could be wrong here, I've heard this before, I believe it actually.
Yeah.
They say if Donald Trump left Twitter, let's say he just deleted his account. Yeah, you guys win. Let's say he won the next election, deleted his Twitter account. That would cost him over 20% of their volume. Which I believe that, because he's got millions of followers in the discussion. Yep. So there's this weird love-hate relationship with Donald Trump. They hate him.
They hate to hate on him. They love to hate on him.
Well, they hate Trump, but they love him and need him.
Yeah.
So there's this weird love-hate relationship going on. And Trump's aware of that, and he plays on that love-hate relationship. Yeah,
he's very intelligent. He knows how to draw attention like no other.
Yeah.
He's done really well. I just think that besides him, the platform is more prone to the negative energy that comes out of people.
Yeah, and I'm not for that. And what I love about LinkedIn is LinkedIn's got very good community standards.
Yeah.
You know, as long as you're being positive and supportive, it's great. Because look, I know I've spoken about against cancel culture, but I'm not for attacking people and that sort of thing. So, for example, if someone shares, you know, Biden stuff, I'm not going to attack them.
Yeah.
I'm just going to ignore it. Whereas people attack me for sharing what I believe in.
Yeah. Yep.
And I get attacked by both sides, you know. I've been attacked by the right and left. Because I sometimes sit on the fence on some issues.
Did you get attacked for supporting Scott Morrison or Gladys?
All the time.
On LinkedIn?
Yeah, a little bit, but nowhere near as much. It's more Facebook and Twitter.
Right.
A little bit on LinkedIn. Sometimes pretty bad, but not as much as I do in the other platforms. Because LinkedIn's such a great platform with a great environment.
Yeah.
And I just think it's crazy, you know. It's sort of, and I think LinkedIn's a more professional environment.
Yeah.
And you got to remember the thing about Twitter or Facebook, you kind of got, it's sort of not you. LinkedIn's you. I'll give you an interesting one. I could have got this person in a lot of trouble, but I let it go. There was a public servant from Victoria who actually threatened violence against me over LinkedIn.
Really?
Yeah, for supporting Scott Morrison.
Can you, without giving too much details, just give context to what that threat was like?
Yeah.
Or
so what I did was I was very surprised, and I decided to I let this person go, right?
Right.
But what they did was I did a post supporting Scott Morrison, and this public servant from Victoria did this post attacking me, right?
Yeah.
And actually threatened violence, saying, you know, someone like me should come and do something that involves ending your life.
Really?
That's actually a threat. Actually a threat. That was interesting. I deleted the comment and blocked the person because I'm a nice person. What if I took a screenshot and I spoke to his department? I could have had him fired.
Have you reported it to LinkedIn before you deleted
it? I reported it, then deleted it.
Yep.
Right. But what I meant was, if I wanted to,
you could have taken a screenshot.
I could have got that guy fired because it's pegged to him directly. He's run from the Victorian departments.
Yeah.
The point I'm making, though, I reported it to LinkedIn because that's not on. But if I wanted to, I could have taken a screenshot and sent it to his employer.
Right.
Being the government.
We could even escalate it more than that, too.
I chose not to. Yeah. I just reported it to LinkedIn, so I'm not like that.
Yeah.
But the point is on LinkedIn, you're putting your professional name behind it.
Exactly.
It's
not
your
brand.
It's not like
Yeah.
Some Twitter, I hate Scott Morrison sucks. It's your name, your brand.
I mean, LinkedIn is your personal brand. Facebook is not so much.
Exactly.
It depends. It depends on what.
LinkedIn's right up there because it's like, this is my professional profile. This is where I work. This is my photo. This is who I am.
If that's how you talk, no one wants to do business with you.
And you can lose your job too.
Yeah.
I can't remember the detail, but there was this, and again, I'm just so you know, I come from a Middle Eastern background and I'm against racism of all kinds. It's appalling.
Of course.
And there's been a lot of anti-white racism lately, which is quite tolerated.
Really?
And people attacking white people, right?
Wow.
Which are
okay. On LinkedIn.
No, not LinkedIn, just full
in
stop.
general.
Right? It was actually on TikTok, I think it was.
Okay.
I think it was Deloitte's or something. It was something like that. But this intern for Deloitte's came out doing this rant against white people on TikTok.
Yeah.
horribly racist against white people. And a bunch of Trump supporters found it
Yeah.
and sent it to Deloitte, lost their job immediately.
Wow. Well, in the States, there's this, I'm pretty sure in other parts of the world too, there's this narrative about white privilege. I think this gets turned around and used to attack white men, white males primarily, but also white people in general.
Yeah, it's appalling. Yeah. Again, I'm not a white guy, and I think it's appalling. All forms of racism I find abhorrent.
Of course. So maybe we should swift gear for a little bit and talk about growing your personal brand, but also growing your business. What are the things that that stick out to you quite a bit, especially over the last few months with what's been happening in terms of recession? How can people, let's say I'm just starting now to really focus on growing my brand on LinkedIn, what would you say to me? Like how would I go about it?
Yeah, first thing is spend some time updating your profile and make it beautiful.
Yeah.
Get it really right. Start sharing content every day.
Yeah.
And just be positive and encouraging and just start from there.
Yeah.
And contribute to the conversation. So share great content. You might just share content at the start until you feel ready to create your own, and start following people, contributing to other conversations. Be positive and supportive.
Yeah.
So LinkedIn is the place to be positive.
Yeah.
And whenever I get negativity directed at me, I just delete it. I don't even reply. So don't engage in negativity.
Yeah.
And you want to keep LinkedIn a positive platform. That's why I love it so much. It's a positive environment.
Yep. And in terms of knowing what content my audience like to see, is there a specific way is it more trial and error?
It's trial and error.
Okay.
Because it's all right for me to walk in and say, hi, Rani, you should do this, this, and this. But you need to see what the results are. But the beauty of LinkedIn is that you'll see very quickly whether it's working out or not.
Yeah.
You know whether you're hitting the mark or missing the mark. And when Rana said to me, Ed, you should go to LinkedIn, very quickly I got a flavor of what was sticking and what wasn't. And I was I always look back at my previous posts and I'd be miss, hit. Why did that hit?
Right.
And it's always good to always look at your posts and look at what hit the mark, what didn't. And that tells you what your market wants.
Yeah.
And that's where posting is a very organic experience, because ultimately the top influencers do it too. They were always looking at their previous content to say that stuck, that didn't, why?
Yeah.
And as you ask those questions, you get savvy. And we're not talking about posting from the subconscious mind. Is you get I'm not quite there yet, but I'm getting there. Whereas I can just throw out posts like that because I've got so much experience in posting. It doesn't take much conscious thought to do a post that gets thousands of views.
Right.
That's good.
Posting from the subconscious mind. I can't say I've heard that before. That's very that's a new term to me.
That's something that's come to me because sort of like just get in the, because I've done it so much.
Yeah.
So last year, whenever I do a post, it was like diffusing a bomb, right? Yeah, I'd be like dripping in sweat. Oh my God, is this word right? Oh, was
you're kind of sweating. You're like,
oh, and then you post it. Oh my God, got to delete it.
Yeah,
do it again, right?
I've
been through that. And by the way, it sucks, been there.
That was just last year.
Yeah, last year.
That is crazy, man.
But sort of probably the past few months, it's like mastery takes a lot of hours. Now it's sort of like I might delete the odd post or tweak something. But now it's pretty much, you don't have to think about it too much. It's just you just got the experience.
Yep.
And what I say to people is get started, start by posting, because as you post, you train your subconscious mind. That's a form of mastery. It's like the Michael Jordan thing, completing our discussion.
Yep.
The first time, if you start at the 1 point line, you probably miss for a few days. After a few days of doing that, you'll just probably go, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's training the subconscious mind.
Right. And, part of what you do is coaching people, right? Coaching people how to become an influencer, how to become a more effective communicator.
Persuader, yeah.
Persuader. And so that obviously entails social media, but also on a personal level and outside of the digital world as well.
Yeah, exactly. So whilst I'm a LinkedIn fan, I've never said I'm a LinkedIn trainer.
Yep.
LinkedIn's one of the, I'm quite into LinkedIn. I'm great at it, but it's one of the tools.
Yep.
So I'm not a LinkedIn trainer per se, albeit everyone wants me to teach them how to use LinkedIn.
Yep. So how does your day look in terms of working with people and coaching them and training them? How does that look?
Yeah, it's interesting. It depends on the day. Like quite often I'm putting out content all day. I'm speaking to a lot of my clients from across the world over WhatsApp or LinkedIn Messenger.
Yep.
I'm out of a session or two with clients. I run live webinars on Monday.
Yep.
I'm actually running a big workshop tomorrow at Novotel Darling Square. So
everyone, make sure you tune in.
So yeah, it's a mixture of what's going on. But I speak to at least 50 people a day across the world.
Right. And obviously you got your webinars, and
Meetups.
pre-COVID it was seminars as well.
Yes.
Um,
now we got our face-to-face events back.
Okay, cool.
So meet up monthly in Sydney.
Right.
Yeah.
But you also spend a lot of time one-on-one coaching.
A little bit, yeah, not a lot, but a little bit.
Okay.
A little bit. And a lot of it's more just speking to people here and there. A lot of our customers from across the world, but usually have a coaching session, 1 or 2 a day.
Yep.
The way it works is after 1 or 2, like I actually don't like having more than 1 coaching session a day. You get drained.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So, as I've done this before, I've had days where I've like coached 5 people in a day, like 5 1-hour sessions. Nah, terrible. You deteriorate. I think I like to only, like in terms of 1-on-1 sessions, I like just 1 or 2 a day because you maintain your freshness.
And what kind of drains you? Is it having to listen and kind of like put your empathy hat on and like really feel like where, obviously it's not like therapy, but when people come up to you,
it can be like therapy.
Yeah, okay.
Because let's say I say to someone, oh, you should post some content on LinkedIn. But Ed, I don't feel confident.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not a LinkedIn conversation anymore.
Yeah. It's where you're digging in.
Well, that's not a link. That's not a LinkedIn conversation. That's a mindset conversation.
Yeah.
So it's very quickly, you'll just say, so I could be like this, and I apologize to my clients if I've done this to you. And let's say I'm busy or I'm on a train or something, and someone says, oh, Ed, I got a quick question. I just go, boom, boom. I just tell them the answer. But then there's this whole mindset issue blocking them from doing it. And it's going to take an hour to deconstruct that issue, right? Because it's all right for me to say, oh, you should just go to the gym. Go do it now.
Yep.
What if you've got a lot of mindset issues blocking you? That can be hours of deconstruction to get there.
Do you find that a lot of the times the main reason people don't start is because of that?
Oh, all the time.
All the time.
Yeah, it's all the time.
More so than just time management issues.
Time management's always an excuse.
Yeah, it's the excuse, but it's not really the...
For example, shout out to Lassie. I got married, 2 kids, wonderful Lassie. I got hundreds of people around the world I got to look after.
Yep.
I got a bit to do.
Yeah, of course. You got a family.
I got a bit of stuff on.
Yeah.
I kind of get it done.
Kind of curious. What time do you get up? Do you have a specific?
I like to get up. If I don't have to go to the city, I like getting up at 7.
Okay.
If tomorrow I got to be in this. Tomorrow I got to get up at 5. I got to be out the door. I got a workshop tomorrow. Tomorrow up at 5.
Yep.
I like to get up at 7, like 6:37. That's when I just naturally wake up.
Yeah.
I don't like artificially making myself wake up. I like just organically waking up.
You like to make sure you get enough sleep and not have to...
Yeah. Like tomorrow I'm artificially getting up at 5 a.m.
Yeah.
But I don't like doing that. I like just getting up at 6. I like about 6
7 hours?
6:30, yeah.
How many hours? 6, 7?
Oh, about 8 hours is good.
What do you think of people who sleep 5 hours?
Well, it's unsustainable. Those people age faster and deteriorate quickly. Yeah.
Some of them are even like gurus. And like
experts. Well, the thing is, I just know, I come from a military background.
Yeah.
And I've done that. I've done months where you sleep 2 hours a night.
Really?
Yeah, I've done survival training, everything, right? I've done the full-on, you do this exercise where you got to stay awake for 72 hours straight.
Okay.
Done all that stuff. All that crazy stuff in the military.
Is that mainly to train your mental toughness?
Yeah.
Okay.
And what happens is after you've been up for 72 hours straight, no, you need a few weeks off. It damages you.
Of course.
It damages
100%.
you. It makes you a tough cookie mentally, but it's a physically unsustainable experience. And what I've seen is, you get the people saying, well, I only sleep 4 hours a night. I'm not sure if I believe you. But the thing is, it's an unsustainable experience and they age faster.
Yeah.
So what happens is, if you don't sleep enough, you'll age quicker and you look ragged. So I remember when I was in the army, one of my old corporals, great guy, but I can't remember his name, it's like 20 years ago. Great guy.
Must have been very great. No, just kidding.
A really nice man. And what scared me about him, really hardworking guy. He was like a combat engineer, corporal.
Okay, yeah.
Right? I think he was a sergeant. Actually, correct, might have been a sergeant. And great guy. One of the nicest sergeant, actually, now I'm recalling it. One of the nicest sergeants I ever met.
Yeah. And
it looked like he was 50, and he was like 34.
No way.
And if you speak to him, because he just been working that sort of life for years, just lack of sleep ages you quicker.
I mean, like,
and the whole people saying, well, I'm a clone from the future and I sleep on 4 hours a night sleep, and how dare you, lazy
Edward,
and you know,
Rani.
Rani, you know, that's why I call you Rana. Rana's poisoned me. I know you're
was
Rana.
helping you there.
I got to think Rani, not Rana. Love you, Rana. But you know, it's sort of like, it's unsustainable. I know that. Because you might be able to do it for a few years.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of research too that supports the fact that sleeping less not only ages you, but you know, can increase the chances of having a lot of diseases down the road.
And also accidents at work as well.
Yeah, of course.
So putting on my, you know, putting on my workplace accident hat for the moment, fatigue is a leading cause of car crash.
Of course.
You know, so if you're running around having 4 hours a night sleep, you know, is it safe to get behind the hands of a motor vehicle? I would argue no.
Now, if you're listening to this and you only sleep for 5 hours and you're doing amazing, everything is on point, please discard this. I think it's just, you know, obviously I haven't done, I haven't done my research or anything.
I understand it's genetic. Like some people genetically can get away with it.
Yeah.
I can't, right? But I think, I'll tell you where I'm coming from. I've seen a lot of people try it. I'm going to do the whole 4 hours a night sleep thing. And I'm like, ugh. And after a month, they tip over.
I'll tell you my personal experience. So I used to go to bed late, like 12-ish, 1-ish.
I do it too.
2. And I used to get my 7-8 hours, but I wasn't highly performing cognitively, and my energy levels, and you know, it just wasn't working. And I decided to go to bed early. So I go to bed 9:30, 10.
Yeah, possible.
And I sleep less. Obviously not 5 hours. I get 6.5.
That's good.
But I feel so much better. And I've been able to save on an extra 30 minutes or 45 minutes. Yeah. And I feel even better. So
if possible, do it. Yeah. If possible. May not be possible, but if possible, do it.
Yeah. I was just kind of curious if you have a specific, like, because a lot of the high performers tend to have specific schedule.
If I can, if the kids are crying or whatever.
Yeah,
you know,
okay.
If I can, I will.
Yep.
Yeah, if there's like no external situation blocking me, I'll do it.
Because you have a lot of energy. Like you have a lot of energy. You put in a lot of hours. So I was kind of curious how that works. What about meditation? Do you meditate a lot?
Yeah, so I, Christian, pray at least 5 times a day. Meditate a lot too.
Just mindfulness, clear your mind.
Clear your mind.
Yeah.
Stop the negative patterns.
Yeah.
Retrain your mind.
Yeah.
Yeah. Stop the anxiety, the worry.
Yeah.
Give it to the universe. What happens, happens.
Yeah. What do you...
Death waits for no man. So if today's the day I die, then death waits for... I believe in the old saying, death waits for no man. Your time's up, your time's up. And I'm not saying that as in a dark Tim Burton reference, but I'm just saying that as a reality. When you kind of embrace your mortality, it takes a lot of stress away.
Yeah.
I'm not perfect, make a lot of mistakes.
No one is perfect, mate.
Mistakes all the time.
I just want to quickly go back to Gladys and Scott Morrison, because you've been posting about them quite a few times. And
ask away.
I've only been an Australian citizen for a year. I moved here about 6.5 years.
Great to have you with us.
Thank you, sir.
What country did you come from?
So I'm Egyptian.
There you go.
I grew up there until I was 18. Moved to America to get my bachelor's. Finished, went back 2009. And then spent a few years and then
proud
moved to
Egyptian Australian.
Yep.
Welcome.
And so for the longest time, for the last 6-7 years, obviously until you're a citizen, you don't get to vote. So I didn't really get myself into politics, and it's not my forte anyway.
Yeah, it's irrelevant.
But lately I've been kind of tuning into the Australian politics a little bit more, especially with what's been happening with COVID and how all different premiers are handling things. So I saw you post about Gladys with what happened recently in the news. I'm sure everyone pretty much knows, but obviously your take is she's done a lot of great work, and you know, she's definitely helped New South Wales in a lot of ways. Amazing and lady. She's a hard worker and all that stuff.
So just for the sake of the audience, a global audience, Gladys Berejiklian is our New South Wales Premier.
Yep.
And an amazing lady. She got in a bit of trouble lately because her boyfriend is going through a corruption inquiry.
For quite some time.
Yeah, quite some time. And Gladys has had a secret relationship with him.
Yeah.
And,
I kind of didn't want to go into that story. I thought everyone knows, but yeah, for the international
it's very
audience,
so
yeah,
a premier is like a governor. They're like our
yeah,
head of state.
yeah, and so I've had a few takes on it,
Yeah.
and the take I have is you can be the hardest worker person in the room. I feel like sometimes when you hold one of the highest positions of leadership in a country, um, and what happened with Gladys could, like, it didn't have to go to the courtroom, I suppose, or be escalated. I guess they're still doing investigations. I'm not sure, but I'm just looking at things from an ethical standpoint, and I feel like if you, I know this is going to be super controversial, and I think you'll disagree with it too, but I think it's good to have a conversation about it. I think that there is a point where, because what really ticked it off for me was that phone call where she said, "I don't need to know about it," when he was telling her about a dodgy deal that he was doing, and the response was, "I don't need," and she came out and she clarified, but I'm still not buying 100%. And this is really where I feel like, as someone at that level, the level of ethics that you should have is, doesn't matter if it's a personal relationship, if that person is too close to you or whatnot, we should expect a little bit more.
Yeah, and I think Gladys has come out and she said that. Yeah, I made a mistake. I shouldn't have done it.
Yeah.
And she's ended it. So I agree with you. I think, did Gladys make a mistake? Well, I think it could be argued, yes. I think there's some real merit to your argument.
Yeah.
There's counter arguments to that as well.
Yeah.
But, you know, if you are the premier and you're having a relationship with someone who's being investigated for corruption, you're running a bit of a risk there. So, you know, it is an interesting one, because one could argue that Gladys should have investigated it and found out and reported him, but she just chose to stay out of it.
Yeah.
Right. She clearly did. And it's an interesting one because it's a very controversial area, because sort of like, you know, Gladys is entitled to love too.
Of course.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a complex one. I think it's a complicated issue, but Gladys did come out and she said she made a mistake. She shouldn't have done it.
Yeah.
So
that's fair enough. And we shouldn't hold.
I think she's been quite mature in it. It's like, look, I've done nothing legally wrong, but I've made a mistake personally.
Yeah.
I accept that answer. I think personally it wasn't the best decision of Gladys, and she's admitted that mistake.
Yeah.
But I believe she's done nothing wrong.
Yeah.
Like, legally she's done nothing wrong.
Yep.
But I think personally, I agree with that. That's a mistake. And she said that.
And I think that's why a lot of people, probably including myself, have already kind of moved on.
Yeah. And on Gladys, I think that's why she's such a powerful leader and persuader. She didn't have to do that. She could have gone the Hillary Clinton angle.
Yeah.
And
defended herself.
And she didn't. And so in defense of Gladys didn't defend herself. Gladys said, "Yeah, you know what?" And she did. I watched the interview. Gladys is like,
I stuffed up.
I shouldn't have done it. I was wrong. I was stupid. She didn't have to do that. She could have gone full on Trump, Hillary Clinton. They're fake news. They're liars. ABC.
Yeah.
Terrible people.
Yeah.
We're gonna cut their funding. She didn't.
Yeah.
So Gladys could have gone the full Hillary Clinton, Trump.
Yep.
She could have said, you know, they're deplorable people. You know, she didn't. She didn't.
Yeah.
So I think Gladys, I think she did well. I think she came clean, and, you know, power to her, because a lot of leaders would go down the Hillary Clinton, Trump path.
Yeah. Yeah.
Liars, fake news, liar, you're awful, fake news. She didn't do that. She could have.
Yeah, she was true to herself in a way, and she just confronted it.
I remember Kevin Rudd was more like the Trump, Hillary Clinton sort of, the media are a bunch of lies. He's like that. Whereas, and Gladys is a smart lady. Gladys knew if she, professionally, she's in the clear. If she personally admits a mistake, they leave alone. And that's why she got off. So a very smart lady. If she declared war on them, it would have backfired anyway.
Yeah.
But the fact that she didn't like her, it's like it very, and I think I think very much, unless something else happens, she'll probably win re-election.
Yep. Which is coming up
2 years away. I should know that.
2 years.
Yeah, but I think she'll win re-election. The way she's going, she'll win.
Who knows what will happen in 2 years' time?
Admitting a mistake like that's very hard.
Yeah.
You know, sort of like publicly saying, "Yeah, my personal life's a wreck, and I shouldn't have had sex with this guy."
Yeah,
it takes a lot of.
I'll give her props for how she managed the COVID situation in New South Wales. Yeah. Like, I think we've done really, really well.
Yeah, and she admitted her personal mistakes. Yeah. Like, power to her.
Yeah. That's cool.
Power to her.
Alrighty. Well, I think it's been a very good hour of talking to you.
It's been an honorable pleasure.
It's definitely been my pleasure. I learned a lot, and I'm sure everyone listening will learn quite a lot.
And I love our fans from across the world who are watching.
And
Thank
yeah,
you.
thanks for making the time. I do appreciate that, and hopefully we can make this a recurring thing.
Oh, I'd be honored.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Rani, not
Rani.
Rana. I should have said that. That just poisoned me for the whole interview. I keep had to call you Rani.
Can't wait to see Rana's comments.
Yeah, well, tag in Rana. She's an amazing lady.
Yeah.
And, she's going to find this hilarious. She became the recurring character
Yeah.
of this interview.
That's awesome. All right.
I must say, you're an amazing interviewer. Like, I'm just saying this because of the camera. No, you're an amazing interviewer. I think you've done an amazing job in digging deep in a very positive, empowering way.
Thank you so much. Well, I mean, we spoke a couple of weeks ago, and when I told you that I was starting, I mean, this is the 6th episode, so I'm just starting.
Oh wow, cool.
And that's
you
why
act like it's your 100th.
Dude, I was very privileged when you said you would come on, because it's one of those things when you're still starting, people want to see. A lot of people want to see how you go first before they jump on the bandwagon.
It's so professional.
Yeah.
Like, I walk in, you got a whole studio. I'm sort of like just.
You like it?
I'm just like used to sitting behind the Harbour Bridge. Hey, it's Ed. How you doing? So your professionalism leads me to absolute shame.
Well, I just want to also flip that back to you and say, you know a lot, and you have a lot of knowledge to share. So that's why I was also digging in, because I know there's a lot more to extract. So yeah, but I do appreciate the compliment. Thank you so much. If anyone from your audience who lives in Sydney, who would like to come on the podcast, they have a cool story about their business or even a personal life story that would love to come, I'd love to have them. So
I'll connect you to some great people, Rani.
Thank you so much, sir. All right. We'll wrap it up. It was good to meet you.
Bless your heart, Rani. You're a great guy, and you're very handsome too.
Thank you, sir.
Go.